I have been meaning to talk about this topic for quite some time now. Two NASA astronauts supposedly anyway, stuck in space or stuck on the International Space Station, with NASA having issues bringing them back to Earth. Spoiler alert, I do not believe these NASA astronauts ever left Earth to begin with, and I don't think they'll ever be seen again. Now, before we do begin this video, I do want to say that this is not a flat Earth versus round Earth debate. Neither is it a space is real versus space is fake debate. I am simply pointing out something I had noticed about this whole NASA astronaut situation. For those that do not know, veteran astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore have been on the International Space Station since June 6th. They were supposed to be there for just 8 days. The reason why they are apparently stuck is because the Starliner they were supposed to take back to Earth has multiple leaks and multiple valve issues. So apparently these two NASA astronauts, they were supposed to leave in June, but because the Starliner continues to have problems, the date continues to be pushed back. These two NASA astronauts, they arrive on the International Space Station on June 5th. Like I said, they're only supposed to be there for 8 days, which means they leave on June 13th. But something rather interesting leaked from the International Space Station on June 13th. It was this emergency audio. And ever since this emergency audio was leaked, these two NASA astronauts have been stranded on the International Space Station. This emergency audio, where it sounds like something serious happened to the commander, and it sounds like the female flight doctor speaking to the International Space Station is showing genuine concern.
5 minutes out. Okay. Yes. So then, thank you for clarification. So if we could get commander back in his suit, get it sealed, and step into procedure 5.180 for suited hyperbaric treatment, section 3 for oxygen post splashdown, that would be my recommendation. Okay.
And then later that day, NASA comes out and they say, no, there is no emergency. This is just a training exercise during a time where these astronauts are supposed to be asleep. Now, as somebody that does not trust NASA and believes that NASA lies, they are even on my evil tier list, I do not believe that this was just a training exercise that leaked over. Like I said, you can hear some real concern in the flight doctor's voice who is speaking to the NASA astronaut. And if this was just a training exercise, I do not believe she would be putting on this much acting.
Copy. Understand that this is a best effort treatment, and so whatever you can do is going to be better than doing nothing. And just as an FYI, prior to sealing, closing the visor and pressurizing the suit, I would like you to check his pulse one more time. How copy? Correct, yes. That would be, actually, Sis, you're on this call. How much oxygen do we have remaining in minutes? Perfect. So, yes, then I would like you to have 100% O2 flowing via mask while you get the suit on. Prior to closing the visor and pressurizing, I'd like you to do a pulse check one more time and then step into 5.180, section 3. Is there a way that the mask can be attached? So is there a way that we could get the suit over the head, have the visor open, and put the mask at least close to his face while you finish sealing up the suit, or is that not feasible?
Something rather interesting was said at the end of this audio, which makes me believe that these NASA astronauts were never on the International Space Station to begin with. They were always here on Earth. And again, the NASA astronauts are supposed to be asleep when this leaked over. Now, because I do not believe that this was just a normal training exercise, something rather interesting was said at the end of this leaked audio.
Copy. Well, I think at this point, because the hypobaric exposure is the big problem, and given his exam, I am concerned that there are some severe DCS hits, and so I would recommend trying to get him in the suit as soon as possible and giving oxygen as best as able during that process. But the best thing would be to get him in the suit at ASAP. And Sis, we are okay to deprivatize at this time. just as a FYI for you, I am still about 1 hour out from NCCX. Unfortunately, we will need to keep doing the phone situation until I am able to be there. I am currently stuck in traffic. I can, while we don't have other flight surgeons on call, while I am stuck in traffic, I can reach out to see if there's anyone who can get there sooner than 1 hour. That being said, there really isn't anything we could do in person that we can't do over the phone at this point. Unfortunately, the prognosis for Commander is relatively tenuous, I'll say, at this point, to keep it generic. So one thing, I don't know if you got this message before, but I did find through Dan, I did find a hospital in Spain that has critical care facilities and hyperbaric treatment facilities. Would you like me to give you that hospital and their phone number again? Okay, so that is San Carlos, Sancarlos, in San Fernando, spelled the normal way, and that's in the province of Cadiz, Cadiz, in Spain. And that phone number is country code 34956819043. Again, that number is country code 34956819043. I'll copy. In the meantime, I will continue my trek in. Otherwise, I will see if a flight surgeon can be there sooner. And then you are free to call me with any updates or any changes. If the crew do get suited and start the treatment and they make a call down, I would request to be updated at that point.
So, like I said, once this audio was leaked out to the public on the exact same day that these two NASA astronauts were supposed to come back to Earth, now these NASA astronauts are stuck on the International Space Station. But if you listen at the end of the audio, it really doesn't make much sense. It doesn't match up to a training exercise for the International Space Station, because this flight surgeon is having other flight surgeons fly out, and she is an hour away, stuck in traffic. How does that any way, shape, or form match to a training exercise on the International Space Station? That she's stuck in traffic, she's an hour away, she can't make it to this emergency, so she's going to see if any other flight surgeon is available. Then on top of that, because she's stuck in traffic here on Earth, she gives the person who she's speaking to on the other end, who is supposed to be the NASA astronaut, a phone number to a hospital in Spain. But they are on the International Space Station. Also is the fact, why is this flight surgeon, or any flight surgeon for that matter, needed on location so urgently? If these NASA astronauts are on the International Space Station and this flight surgeon is on Earth, instructions is all she can give from Earth, no matter where this flight surgeon may be. Even those who are defending NASA's supposed honor on YouTube, when it comes to channels who are releasing this audio, are now starting to change their tune. Listen to this comment from Enigma Dave. He says, "It's not a hoax. It was one side of a training conversation accidentally sent over a public channel. Nobody was perpetrating a hoax except perhaps this channel with your choice of title for this video. It's misleading and a lie. You should be ashamed to have employed such clickbait. I came here to just leave a comment, but won't view this video. You don't deserve the view." This individual replies to Enigma Dave by saying, "A lot of people believed it was real. Chill out, man." Enigma Dave replies, "The fact so many believed is why I object to those implying it was an actual emergency or a hoax. There's way too much misinformation being spread by people who have no interest in getting the facts before posting." So this is a very good comment, as Enigma Dave is a lot of skeptics that believe if you talk outside the narrative, if you talk outside of what you are told from the source, then you are spreading misinformation. So somebody replies to Enigma Dave by saying, "Yes, but 1, it was during sleep hours, no drills during sleep hours. 2, why is a hyperbaric chamber in Spain when they are supposedly in space? And 3, why is the flight surgeon needed on location so urgently if they are in space and she is on Earth? Instructions, once again, is all she can give from Earth, matters not where she is. He finishes by saying, we may just change another conspiracy to fact and learn we were right all along, and it's all filmed in a huge tank underwater. Well, Enigma Dave changes his tune because he says, at the time I was going with NASA's official announcement. Now the fact they canceled the planned spacewalk makes me wonder if they lied to us. NASA lying to us? They would never. But anyway, especially since the reason cited for the cancellation was spacesuit discomfort, the astronauts don the spacesuits and the pressure is slowly reduced to 4.3 psi, much lower than the normal pressure used within the International Space Station, 14.7 psi. The suit itself is a mini hyperbaric chamber and could be used to restore normal pressure for an astronaut experiencing issues. A very strange coincidence indeed. Wow, well, will you look at that? Our skeptic Dave had an epiphany. He realized these spacesuits already are a hyperbaric chamber. Just a day later, after this emergency audio had been leaked, now there is no spacewalk. The spacewalk had been canceled. Isn't that such a odd coincidence? You can even feel the heartbreak in this comment when he realizes that NASA had lied to us. It's like a kid learning that Santa Claus wasn't real, or when I was a kid and I learned that my favorite TV series, Dragon Ball, they were just cartoons. They were all make-believe, and yes, I was devastatingly hurt to know that Goku was not a real person. So I can feel for this person now learning the fact that NASA lies. If NASA is willing to lie about this, what else are they willing to hide and lie about? So then what happened to the commander? Well, I always found it interesting that after a month that this audio had leaked, and after they were telling us that these NASA astronauts were stuck on the International Space Station, news started to come out around July that there was this superbug, 13 strands of a superbug, a multi-drug resistant bacteria that was found on the International Space Station. This article that I'm reading here from Fox News, which mentions the bacteria found on the I.S.S., this part of the article that talks about the astronauts' health, it says, of particular concern is that astronauts suffer from weakened immune systems while on the space station. The discovered megabug could especially assail astronauts in this state, potentially sickening them in a less than ideal environment. Obviously, limited access to the medical facilities in space adds to the difficulty. Earthbound health risk. The presence of a hardy bacteria poses a legitimate risk to the health and safety of those aboard the space station, and it's difficult not to imagine the danger, however fanciful, of a disease born of the superbug making its way to Earth. But what if this superbug wasn't found on the International Space Station? What if it was down here on Earth in a lab, and NASA was helping another organization, NASA scientists and so forth, are hand in hand with another organization to create a superbug? NASA has worked hand in hand with other organizations like CERN, and what if NASA was working with another organization when it comes to a superbug? They were testing it out, it got out of hand, and perhaps an astronaut or two became infected. They were always here on Earth this whole time, but the official narrative is that they are stuck on the International Space Station, and perhaps their return back to Earth, and I'm just theorizing here, this is for entertainment purposes only, their return back to Earth might be met with a Challenger situation. But more than likely, when it comes to these astronauts being on Earth, we will never hear or see from these astronauts ever again. This emergency with these astronauts happened down here on Earth. The audio was leaked for whatever reason. On the same day that these NASA astronauts stuck on the International Space Station were supposed to leave for Earth. But it sounds like more BS from NASA. Who knows what they were working on here on Earth? Maybe in some type of underwater lab, who knows? But it sounds like the situation got out of control and they need these flight doctors to a specific location right away. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like. as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.